Minister will always put his wealthy friends first. He will always put nations before Canada. His loyalty does not lie with Canada or with Canadians. He has told us in his own words exactly who he is.
Speaking as a European.
And when somebody tells you who they are, you should believe them.
The Canadian companies Brookfield and Chemical. Today, this plant supplies fuel.
A lot of people liked that intro yesterday. That, of course, is Conservative Member of Parliament Stephanie Kuzy. I think she defines Mark Carney in the only way possible, international grifter. This is a guy who has set new standards, if we can say that, for corruption, new lows for corruption. And it amazes me, folks, that so many Canadians think he's doing a great job. Yeah, doing a great job at enriching himself. I think he's doing a great job of that. Here's the Prime Minister of Sweden recently made this incredible declaration about how much he loves Brookfield.
Sweden are demonstrating what practical solidarity looks like. A powerful example of this, if I may, is actually Westinghouse nuclear fuel facility in Sweden in the city of Västerås, now owned jointly by the Canadian companies Brookfield and Chemical. Today, this plant supplies fuel to every form.
So, of course, hot on the heels of the visit by the King and Queen of Sweden to Canada, Mark Carney was off to new things. And that's what you expect from Mark Carney, isn't it? You know, he's always off to new things here. So, where are we? Sorry. Yes. Mark Carney is international grifter. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and I are ready to capitalize on the massive economic opportunities between Canada and the UAE. With a new investment protection agreement and the launch of free trade negotiations will create more opportunities for workers, businesses, and investors. What is he really up to over there? I'm sorry. You know, this is... No, we had a video here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find it here. Anyway, we'll go there. And Andy Lee, who's also always a great independent correspondent, says Bruce Flatt, in case you didn't know, is Carney's old colleague and the head of Brookfield Asset Management. Carney just happens to follow him on business trips around the world, totally, completely unplanned by accident. I was also born yesterday, for those of you just tuning in. Incredible what this guy is up to. And here, we do have a video of this. I'm going to find this for you. Here we go. Touchdown in Abu Dhabi. And if you heard the original music for this, it sounds like something North Korea would produce. I'm here to strengthen Canada's economic partnership, blah, blah, blah. And it never ends with Mark Carney. So what's he really up to here? Yeah. What is he really up to? I'm sorry, but for some reason I'm having some difficulties here today, folks. There we go. Yeah, here. And here we go. Sorry. Oh, stop. We know Bruce Flatt and Brookfield were just there a few days ago. Touchdown in Abu Dhabi. Yeah. So everywhere Mark Carney goes, Brookfield has been a couple of days beforehand. And that's the way. Mark Nixon, a friend and compatriot, Mark Carney is set to make $500 million from Brookfield after directing public funds into projects tied to Brookfield. The same people who voted for this will shrug and say, who cares? Meanwhile, Canadians can't afford the basics. How long have we been saying that Mark Carney is probably worth hundreds of millions of dollars? That was my guess when he became prime minister. Well, if he wasn't worth hundreds of millions of dollars, when he retired, when he resigned as chairman of the board of Brookfield to run for the Liberal leadership race on January 16th of 2025, he will be worth in the neighborhood. Now, how do you feel about that? Do you think that is how a prime minister should be behaving? This is all about Brookfield. All about Brookfield. Yes, we did just show that one. The Brookfield Party of Canada, WEF agenda. Brookfield strong. That should be the motto, the slogan, even the the coat of arms of the Liberal Party. And under Mark Carney, it's Brookfield strong. That is what this guy is all about. And how deep is the corruption? And I said this yesterday. Now, Pierre Poilievre was very, BBB, benefiting Brookfield billionaires. Thank you, Bob Katie, for that comment. I said this yesterday, that Pierre Poilievre was afraid to have a federal election. They bent over backwards to ensure that they did not bring down the government. 3 weeks ago now, when there was a non-confidence motions, and the New Democrats and the Bloc voted against the government. The Conservative Party did not. So then, of course, they had the non-confidence vote on the budget. And Conservatives were literally watching to the last minute to ensure they didn't bring down the government. I think this would have been an opportune time, not just because of these odious censorship and surveillance bills, Bill C8, C9, the return of the Online Harms Act, which I predict will be called the Online Safety Act. These bills are coming, but this is such a government mired in corruption that Pierre Poilievre could run a campaign, an election campaign, on corruption alone, anti-corruption alone. That's what John Diefenbaker did in 1957. After 22 years of Liberal rule. Go back to that. And then obviously I wasn't around for John Diefenbaker. I was barely there when he passed on in 1979. But John Diefenbaker had a minority government in 57, then had the largest majority government in history up to that time. A year later, when the minority government fell, but he brought down the Louis Saint Laurent government on charges of corruption. And well, yeah, the Liberal Party, after 22 years in power, were pretty cozy with the corporate world. You know, you have to remember they had people like C.D. Howe, who were, arguably very good at what they did. But the relationship with the corporate world was very, very cozy in the last years of Mackenzie King and throughout the 9 years of Louis Saint Laurent. Louis Saint Laurent was a corporate lawyer. And these people, they were very, very, I would say, blue liberals, as we would say today. However, John Diefenbaker brought the government down on a campaign that was focused and centered on anti-corruption. And Pierre Poilievre, guess what? Do I have to whisper this? Pierre Poilievre could do the same thing. Pierre Poilievre needs to run on anti-corruption to say this government is so damn corrupt, it stinks. And let's hear a little bit about. Okay, they've got one of the top executives. I think this is the guy who replaced Mark Carney, but they're throwing him to the wolves. This is funny. Michael Barrett, Conservative MP for Kingston. He is I would say he's a real fighter of corruption. I've had him on the show. I'm going to see if I can get him back on. If the Conservative, aren't too angry at me for things I've said over the last year. We'll hope and pray. But here's Michael Barrett facing off with a guy named, I'm not making this up, Justin Bieber.
Global ever been criminally charged with anything like bribery, for example?
Charged? No.
Has there ever been an investigation for bribery against Brookfield Global Asset Management?
Nothing that has not been found to be completely false.
But were there charges? Were there,
No,
was
there were no charges.
There was no investigation into bribery in Brazil?
There was, again, that was found to be completely false. And in fact, the person who was alleging is now in jail.
Okay. Is Brookfield registering investment funds to a bike shop in Bermuda good for Canada, and what impact does that have on the payment of taxes in Canada?
Look, as I've said before, first and foremost, we have businesses that do have presence in Bermuda, and those are part of an overall investment structure that allows investors to pool their capital in jurisdictions where we can achieve tax transparency so that businesses that we own can pay taxes in the jurisdictions in which those businesses operate, and then those after-tax proceeds can be delivered to investors in the jurisdictions where they are based and pay taxes there as well.
So your answer is that it's good for Canada to register funds to a bike shop in Bermuda?
I'm not passing judgment on what's good or not.
Okay.
I'm saying what these rules are implemented to achieve.
Are you able to provide us with a list of investments in the catalytic funds and the global transition funds 1 and 2? Is that something you're able to furnish the committee with?
The committee has the list of the investments in global transition 1. Global transition 2 and catalytic are irrelevant.
Are you able to provide us with a list of the investments in the 3 funds that I've mentioned?
I'd have to go back and check.
Check if you have them, or check if you'll do it?
I'll take it under advisement.
That's funny.
Well, I'd like the list. I'd like the list of the investments in the funds. How was the long-term performance pay structured when Mr. Carney was at Brookfield? Are you able to tell us what metrics determined that pay?
While he was an employee of Brookfield,
Yep.
like every executive, Mr. Carney was entitled to a compensation package that was comprised of several components.
All right, so you bet that was a generous compensation package. And of course, it's a revolving door. He's coming right back when he finishes grifting as prime minister.
He would have been entitled to a base salary, a short-term annual bonus that's generally expressed as a percentage of that salary, and then the long-term incentive plans that align all of our executives with our shareholders and our clients in both the funds and in the overall performance of Brookfield.
When Mr. Carney left Brookfield, did he retain his unvested interests on standard terms, or were any of his arrangements modified because he was entering public life?
He left on standard terms. He terminated his employment on January 16th.
Standard
he took
terms.
everything that was vested and departed.
Can you tell us what role Mr. Carney personally played in Brookfield securing financing from the Central Bank for the People's Republic of China?
I think you're referring to clients who have invested in our transition strategy, and that would have been the same as all of the senior people senior executives associated with the transition fund.
In the past few months, have there been any decisions of the federal government, tax credits, policy measures that have increased the value of Brookfield businesses in which the Prime Minister still holds an interest? And if you have more than one example, just one example is fine.
I can't think of any.
So in November, Brookfield announced $100 billion in AI infrastructure expansion, $650 million in renewable power, and major U.S. nuclear activity through Westinghouse. Would you agree that government policy in these areas could increase the value of the Prime Minister's Brookfield-linked compensation?
That's a very tangential line to draw. It will all depend on whether this is good for nuclear. We believe is an incredibly important component
Yeah,
to
I support
any
nuclear energy. I'm just wondering if
Okay.
it'll improve the Prime Minister's financial position personally.
There is no way to tell whether it will or will not.
Thank you.
Now, we also have a clip from Edmonton area MP, Conservative MP, Michael Cooper, who has been a good friend of the show over the years. And can we have a producer? Can we have that clip, please?
Bieber, you stated earlier that there are 2,000 Brookfield-owned and operated companies. I would note that only 103 of these companies have been publicly disclosed by Mr. Carney and are subject to his ethics screen. In other words, 95% of Brookfield companies are not the subject of the ethics screen. Will you undertake to provide a list of the 1,900 other Brookfield companies?
I presume that in conversations and the and discussions with the ethics commissioner, that list was produced based
I'm asking
on
you,
what would-
will you undertake to provide us with a copy of that list? Because when a Brookfield company makes money, Brookfield makes money. You said that. And consistent with that, the success of any of these companies contributes to the value of Mr. Carney's stock options. And so I would submit that it is of material interest. Canadians do deserve the right to know what these other 1,900 companies are, 95% of which are not subject to the ethics screen. So again, will you undertake to provide that list?
many of those would have no ties to Canada.
So the answer is no. Is that your answer?
I will take it away.
You'll take that under advisement?
Sure.
Okay.
What a guy. He's got a lot of things to take under advisement, doesn't he, Justin? Maybe you can record an album in the meantime. This is, of course, standard operating procedure on Parliament Hill now. This is the look. This is the new look. And I'm sorry, am I missing something? Why are people saying, oh, well, who cares? You know, he's knee deep in business. Is anybody uncomfortable with this? This guy, Mark Carney, makes me even more uncomfortable than Justin Trudeau did. And that was pretty uncomfortable. But it's because he's rubbing shoulders literally within days of his old company bosses wherever he goes. So Brookfield shows up, gets ready for Mark Carney's visit as prime minister. There's got to be a bifurcation between the public and private sectors. If you're in government, you're in government until you leave government. Then go back to the private sector. Mark Carney has never really been part of the private sector. He's part of the public-private sector. This is a group of elites that dominate the world right now. They have one foot in government, the other foot in the corporate world. And they get advantages that nobody gets but them. This is why there's an uproar finally in the United States about insider trading in Congress. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a representative from San Francisco, made tens, perhaps hundreds of millions of dollars as Speaker because her husband got inside information about stocks. That is called corruption, when people in government have advantages that you don't have, and they can make stock purchases and trades that you don't know anything about, but they have foreknowledge about why a stock is going to go down or why a stock is going to go up. Now, this is the same sort of philosophy that has now dominated the government of Canada. Mark Carney has the inside track as prime minister of this country, and therefore his old company Brookfield does. We don't know how much Mark Carney's even worth. We know it's probably going to be a lot of money by the time he leaves office. So that's, that is the question I have, is why are so many Canadians just ignoring this and saying, does it really matter? It matters. It matters. And we'll show you this, he'll show you this slide again. Stop the Brookfield Party of Canada, World Economic Forum agenda. This is one of the protesters, one of the people at the rally last weekend on Parliament Hill for the farmers. And it's Brookfield strong. It's Brookfield strong. Now, I want to talk about another outrage here that I think is, I had no idea this was going on. And I was going to bring this up yesterday, but the interview with Katie went on a long time. But why are Canadians voting in a referendum about Khalistani independence? So we've got one more. Producer just handed me a note. We've got one more vid to show you about artificial intelligence, but we'll show that in a minute here. But this really shocked me. Here we are. Ottawa is freezing and snowing, but the determination is stronger. Long lines of people standing in the cold to cast their vote for Khalistan. What the hell are Canadians doing voting in a referendum on Khalistani independence in India? It's a stupidity. Over 53,000 Canadian states from Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia, and Quebec converged on Ottawa to cast their ballots in the Khalistan referendum, which was held at McNabb Community Centre. Now, we do have, I didn't think we were going to have this video ready, but we do have this video ready, and I think we can run that. This is a warning. I'm showing this because this is a warning about what potentially could happen to us all because of AI. This is absolutely fascinating. So, producer, have we got that video? Okay, we're having problems with this. I can't unmute this video for some reason here. So we're going to have to go back to the Khalistani outrage here. My apologies. There's no volume on this video, and I'm trying to unmute it right now, but it's not allowing me to unmute the video. So we'll get that for you tomorrow. This is a warning about AI and where it could potentially go.
From India remains, and that Canada should remain vigilant because of that. Are you moving too fast on rekindling relations with India? What will you be saying to Modi this afternoon? And when do you plan to go to India?
Okay. With respect to any forms of foreign interference, we have to remain vigilant. We are vigilant. I got my security clearance well in advance.
That is Mark Carney at his, Mark Carney at his usual evasiveness. And So he's going full speed ahead while we're having a referendum in Ottawa on whether Khalistan should separate from India. Does any of this make any sense to anybody?
India remains and that Canada should remain vigilant because of that. Are you moving too fast on rekindling relations with India? What will you be saying to Modi this afternoon? And when do you plan to go to India?
Okay. With respect to any forms of foreign interference, we have to remain vigilant. We are vigilant. The clearance well in advance of becoming Prime Minister, and that's sort of table stakes for vigilance. And I'm well aware of, as a consequence of the threat landscape, the views of CSIS, the protections we've taken, and there's engagement with a variety of nations on protecting Canadians, and we will continue to do that. Secondly, I've just referred to my exchange a moment ago, which is what's essential is at its base is the cooperation amongst law enforcement, national security advisors, establishing that clear relations, clear messages delivered. That has been reestablished with India. To be absolutely clear, I referenced the foreign minister's meetings, engagement with her counterpart, but it goes to our national security advisors, our law enforcement agents, and others, and so that's there. And in terms of the commercial relationship with India, Canada has quite an actual strong commercial relationship with India. We are one of the largest, for example, foreign investors in India. Canada is, and there have been tight ties. What we're looking to do is to put that on a sound footing through a potential trade agreement between the two countries, which give protections to our businesses, protections to Indian businesses, clear set of rules, dispute mechanisms, and others, and build on those opportunities. So we're looking to build. I'll reference as well, and then hand back for your three-part follow-up. We're looking to build, for example, as with the trilateral technology cooperation partnership that we announced yesterday with Australia and India. And just to put that in context, India is one of the leading developers of clean technology, particularly in solar and wind. And if we're going to diversify our supply chains, this is all, it's all connected. We're going to diversify in that respect from China, which is the dominant player there. India, South Korea are two of really the two main opportunities. So that cooperation is quite valuable.
You didn't mention the answer to the visit part. When would
we'll see. I don't know I don't.
Yeah, incredible how he can speak for 4 minutes, well, maybe 3, and say absolutely nothing. People pointed out in the conversation, in the comments, word salad. He's a master chef at creating the word salad. This is Mark Carney. Incredible. But, there used to be there was an expression during the Calvin Coolidge years, President Calvin Coolidge, United States president during the 1920s, during the best part of the 1920s. People used to say, what's good for General Motors is good for the USA. And to some extent, that was very true, because General Motors used to make cars in America for Americans, and they employed a lot of American people, especially in Dearborn, Detroit area. However, Brookfield doesn't do a damn thing for you. They have their tentacles out in the globalist community. They are a ravenous dog-eat-dog company that doesn't give a damn what they have to do to make a buck. And they're not making a lot of bucks or providing a lot of jobs for Canadians. Now, we're going to try that video again without the sound, or hopefully we've got the sound problem worked. If not, we will move on. Producer, can we have that again? No, we're still not getting sound. And I don't know why that is, but we'll try to get that for you tomorrow. Wanted to show a couple of clips from yesterday's interview with Katie Pasitney, and to my critic on Facebook who says, "You never pronounce her name." Well, we were pronouncing her name correctly, and she made some incredible comments in this interview yesterday, and you know, we always just have a conversation. You never know what's going to come out of it, but I found this comment to be extremely enlightening. Research going on here at Universal Ostrich Farm. No. Sorry.
Yeah. In my opinion, you watch. Everybody better red flag if you start to see strong antibody therapeutics, or that they're using, there's new innovative technology that all of a sudden comes out, which we already know is happening. They don't want to agree. They don't want to admit it. But Lafont Medical got almost $1 million and to create the diagnostic test kits for farmers for their animals using antibodies. And so they had all the offer and the opportunity in the world to help collaborate with us for free. We wanted to work with them. We were giving them the science. We were giving them hope. We were giving them our solutions and our data and for free. So they're already doing that with Lafont Medical. Another thing that we have heard is that Angela Rasmussen, we know how professional she is. She actually is managing the Saskatchewan University bioweapons lab that was created in this year, 2025, and they've went to a level 4. So she's actually manning on antibody research. And so as much as they all want to attack us about our ostriches and say that we had nothing, they lied about how much scientific data and proof we gave them. They lied about all of the everything, our research papers, scientific data. They lied that we didn't give that to them. And here they are developing it right now. And so it is in our belief too. I'm not saying it is for sure, but the world watched the numbers of our ostriches go down and down and down. So it is our belief too that we could still have some live living ostriches somewhere that they may be sedated and they took off to a lab or have at a university. So we are really asking anybody as well, if anybody ever has a lead on that or any information that reels down to the truth of the matter of why Canadian Food Inspection Agency was at our farm. I know John Catsimatidis has been wanting to offer a reward because he was deeply saddened and it affected him too of how this ended. And he wants to see justice. He wants a real answer of why was Canadian Food Inspection Agency at Universal Ostrich Farms and why were they willing to put up so much money and enforcement to protect animals to kill them.
Well, Katie, there's been so much cover up here, and this is what disturbs a lot of people because we know they didn't cart away 314 ostriches. We know that they lied constantly about the numbers going down. People were counting the ostriches, and apparently the CFIA couldn't count because they kept saying, all we can give you is a range, and you'll have to be satisfied with that. But they couldn't actually go out and it was too hard for them. But it didn't stop observers at the farm from going up the hill, getting pictures and counting. And the numbers were going down every week, as I reported every day during this occupation. And what they're up to, we know there was some activities going on that were pretty bad. So, and it's not just that. Yeah, I believe they have taken the evidence. I believe that. I think this was all part of this operation. And I think that's why ostriches are disappearing.
Yeah, blood or whatever, whether what it was, they were taking it. And it is our belief that the Supreme Court did not give us a stay. The Supreme Court of Canada gave Canadian Food Inspection Agency a stay. As much as we all cheered, and we got some extra days, I guess, to be with around them, but the Supreme Court of Canada gave the Canadian Food Inspection Agency a stay. And what that did was gave them enough time to get what they wanted for scientific proof or data or blood or samples, to get prepared to kill. And then they made their decision that it was a no. So it was, again, a theatrical display, in our opinion, of hope. And that breaks our hearts, but the world, it's hard not to see it that way. And during that time, I mean, we have so much video footage that the Canadian Food Inspection Agency was working between 2:30 and 4:30 in the morning at the back by their motorhomes. What is Canadian Food Inspection Agency doing at 2:30 to 4:30 in the morning when they were supposed to just maintain custody of our animals under the interim state order of Supreme Court of Canada? Maintain custody means food, water, veterinarian care, and keeping their environment the same. It is just manning the animals as we would have. So there is a lot of things that a lot of witnesses seen and a lot of witnesses have film footage of that I do hope gets to come to light. And I do hope that this gets to change how we view the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and go forward, because a full internal investigation has to be done on this agency from our government and give Canadians back a sliver of hope and a little bit of light that we're going to hold them accountable for how November 6th and 7th happened.
I encourage you to watch that whole interview. It's about an hour long. And every time I interview Katie, the numbers get a little bit suppressed, shall we say. And I encourage all of you to have a look at that. And I have another clip from that interview yesterday to show you, because I'm quite proud of it. I thought it was a great conversation. And what she said there about the Supreme Court of Canada giving the stay of execution, not to the farm, but to the CFI, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which is why Katie's doing this. Be a voice for farmers, because farmers don't really have a voice, and I'll let you elaborate on that right now.
Yeah, I just think, you know what, that farmers do have a voice. So many of them do, but they just needed to be reminded that they do. That they are the strength. They are the backbone to our country, to our nutritional food supply. Their hardworking, dedicated nature of loving their animals. It doesn't matter if they're meant for food or if they've been put into research for innovation, new ways that could have helped humanity with therapeutics, natural science. It doesn't matter. Farmers love their animals. It doesn't, and that is, I guess we just needed to be reminded that there are animals. It's our land. And when you have an agency that is supposed to be there to call and support you along the way, and if there's a problem, they're supposed to guide you. What we've seen here is their theatrical display of their egotistical nature, that they can just come and they're a professional killing machine. They are not proactive, preventative. They're not there to heal or treat or preserve. They are there to kill. And that is what they do. They want their reactive nature is to kill everything. And what they're doing is they're putting humanity at risk. And more people are starting to wake up to that reality, is that if we lose our strong, healthy animals with generational perfected lineage for strong bone structure and strong genetics, if we just wipe everything out and we continuously have to start from ground zero at every farm, we will have no natural immunity. We will have no prior strong, robust, passed down antibodies from the mums to the babies. We will suffer as mankind, and it will be a collapse of our ecosystem. So it is very much worth preserving, very much worth using your voice for. This is about your children. This is about your grandchildren. And this is about standing up to protect everything that you've ever worked for. And that is the goal of the association. Mike Rood, who's been a really instrumental piece of this battle, a veteran who has been on site, and you've seen a lot of his images. He was the one taking pictures up the mountains, helping us get counts of our birds, because the number of our ostriches were going down slowly during that interim stay order, and we were witnessing that as a world. Mike Rood wants to be part of the association as well. And he even said, wouldn't it be beautiful if we could get the veterans involved, like a Veterans and Farmers Alliance. So there's so many different angles, but that association has been brought to my attention that there's many associations out there. But this one, we want to make it an association that takes action. And what that will be, it'll be a place for farmers to all come together and talk about the problems that are up and coming or today. And how do we solve those problems? How do we support each other? And how do we help finance that support? So nobody is left alone, because I think that's the biggest fear as well, is if the Canadian government starts to see the farmers rise up and band together, not just by industry, but as a whole, or, not by just the cattle farmers and the cattle association, ostrich association, but make this a united farmers association where we come and we create change that's going to support us, the legacies that you have all developed within your own families, generational farmers, and the future of Canada. So I'm really excited to be putting action. That's going to be very important. And you're seeing that that's what is happening with Canadians right now, is they're using this pain and they want to take action. So this is going to be a beautiful, monumental step at, just over, what is it now? Just over, I guess, almost close to 3 weeks ago. All those bullets rang out in the middle of the night, and it caused a lot of PTSD for a lot of people around the world. And they didn't think that anybody was going to watch. They didn't think that anybody was going to speak. And they, I think, thought that everybody was going to.
So I encourage you to watch that whole interview. Guess what? We've got the AI video. Why are we showing you this? Because this is a warning. If this AI dream could collapse. And Mark Carney is intimately involved in AI. He will be one of the guys you hear about in this video who walks away from the crash because he's well insulated. But those of us who aren't well insulated will not walk away. So if we could have that, producer, try again.
What if I told you that the real danger of AI isn't that it succeeds, but rather that it fails spectacularly?
Word of the day, it's boom. What's booming? NVIDIA's rocking the entire market right now. The stock, a new record high.
AMD's stock is surging.
Where do you see this thing going?
I see it going to 8,000 by 2030.
The next industrial revolution has begun.
We believe that AI could become the most impactful technology in human history.
They say this is the dawn of a new era, that AI will make trillions, rewrite civilization, and even maybe replace us. But what if it's not a revolution, but rather a bubble? Tulips, Amsterdam, 1637, when a single flower sold for more than a house. The South Sea Bubble, 1720, the first major international stock market crash. The Roaring '20s, easy credit, soaring stocks, leading to the crash of 1929. The dot-com boom and bust, the mid-2000s housing bubble that led to the financial crisis. But if we want to understand what might be quietly going wrong beneath the surface of the AI boom, why the numbers look incredible but the foundation might not be, we actually have to dig into a bubble almost no one ever talks about. A bubble I'm guessing most have never even heard of. And to do that, we have to travel 4,000 miles to a tiny island nation.
I hope that piqued your interest a little bit. If you want to watch the whole thing, it is available on the tube. I will drop a link in my stories, and I hope you check it out.
So it's a fascinating story here.
If I told you that
about
the
how,
real danger of AI
again,
isn't that it succeeds, but rather that it fails.
We're really having some technical issues today with the screen. I don't know what's happening, but this, I encourage you to, the description, the video will be in the description if you want to watch the whole thing, because I think we need to know what the dangers and pitfalls of artificial intelligence are and could be. This could be this could lead to a financial collapse, because it's called circular investment or circular spending. They're spending their money on their own stocks to push the price of the stocks up. But much like in the 1920s, before the great stock market crash of 1929, the stocks were overvalued and they did not represent what was actually in the company. So when the day of reckoning came, when there was a call for the equivalency of production to stock market value, and when stock market value was up here and production was down here in terms of the company's actual worth versus what it was worth on the stock market, when that gap was narrowed or eliminated, it led to a huge crash in the stock market, which had all the repercussions, and I'm not going to get into whether or not the New Deal was a good idea. It wasn't a good idea. It did not solve the Depression. It got people through the Depression, but did not eliminate the Depression. But it created a depression. But of course, people like Joe Kennedy and others in high finance, they were insulated. They sold early. They walked away from they never experienced anything. They didn't jump out of their apartment windows. A lot of people did, because they were ruined and there was no way back for them. But AI could be taking us down the same route. Thank you for watching today. I will be back again tomorrow with Neil Oliver, my good friend from Scotland, the archaeologist, pundit, author, historian, broadcaster, and marvelous commentator. Neil Oliver will join the show tomorrow, and I believe at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, back to normal. Watch yesterday's interview with Katie and keep fighting. Resolve to resist. This has been David Krayden broadcasting to you live from Ottawa. This has been Stand on Guard. I'll be back again tomorrow. Bye for now. Thank you for sharing this station with your friends and family. Thank you for hitting that like button, because I tell you, we are fighting back in a way I've never had to before, because I'm going to keep this station on the air. I'm going to keep fighting for freedom. I'm going to keep fighting for justice and truth. And I am damn determined to resist this Carney government in any way possible, as it encroaches upon our individual freedom. And it will continue to do that, mark my words. I'll be back again tomorrow. Same time, same place. 10 a.m. This has been David Krayden, broadcasting live from our nation's capital in Ottawa. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.